What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the channel. It is me, Jack, aka Mr. Wolfie. I wish it was someone a lot more exciting, but I am your host today, so come in and make yourself comfortable. I am doing a bit of a different video today. This is a surprisingly requested, largely requested video slash guide. And obviously, because of all of the Next Order traction that we've been getting recently, I thought, hey ho, why stop at the guides that we've done and produce something new for you guys? So obviously a lot of you guys will be new to the channel, but a lot of you guys are also existing subscribers who have been around for a long time. We have been doing a ton of Next Order guides over the last couple of weeks with the PC and the Switch launch, and it's been very exciting for me. It's been very exciting as a Digimon fan, as a content creator, if you want to use that expression, as a YouTuber, as a Twitch streamer. It's been very fun. And with the guides, obviously there's been a lot of people who are finding a little bit more success with the game. They're easing into Next Order a little bit more, and things have been turning around for them if they were originally finding difficulty. So I thought, let's capitalize on this some more and produce, again, something a little bit newer. I get so many questions on a regular basis on the guides, asking things that maybe I haven't covered in the guides, some people asking things that I have covered in the guides but they're still unsure of, and that is totally fine. There's a lot of questions that come with a game like Digimon World Next Order, and the Digimon series in general, to be fair. I think we've all been mystified or bamboozled or frustrated at some point with these games at one point or another, even for people like myself who absolutely love these games to bits. But to kind of cut the intro a little bit shorter here and dive into it, I've been having a lot of people say to me, Jack, your guides are helpful, thanks very much, but I'm still having difficulty with Next Order. I'm still having difficulty with the game. It's still not going as well as I would like, and I keep making mistakes, and things are going, it's getting a bit out of control sometimes. So I've been trying to answer as many comments about this in my YouTube, in the YouTube comments, but also on my Twitch stream as well. But I thought, why not just actually give you guys a fresh insight into the game and show you guys exactly how I play Next Order from the very beginning. So what I have here is a clip from our Twitch stream from yesterday, I believe. We started a brand new save file again, and here we are back at the very beginning of the game on normal difficulty. And hopefully now you guys can watch this in a kind of long form type-esque video. You can watch it on 2x speed if you like. You can jump through the segments because I'm going to try and timestamp it as best as I can. You guys can navigate this at your leisure and see for, step by step how it is that I play this game in the beginning. And if any of you guys are having difficulty with some of the challenges, maybe this will give you a bit of enlightenment in how things should be going. Now, obviously, I don't pretend to be a master of this game. I've played it a lot, I love it a lot, and I've made a lot of educational content on it, but obviously, just like everybody else, I make mistakes when I play this game, so the point of this video is not to show you guys how you absolutely have to play, because honestly, in an RPG like this, you can be as kind of free-flowing and as experimental as you like. But for me, Next Order is a long game. It's a game that you can play in chunks of time, you can take breaks from it, come back to it, but I never ever want to force too much with Next Order. I want to just have fun with it and still find success at the same time. So as we get into it here, and as I start to explain what's going on, rather than just monologuing, I want you guys to get comfortable, grab yourself a drink as I have here, and we're just going to get cozy and play some step-by-step Next Order from the very beginning. You guys are going to get to see exactly what I do, and although I will have some time skips in the video, I am going to try and give this to you guys as unedited as possible. The only stuff I will be cutting out will be story-related things that you guys might not want to have spoiled, or also some of the tutorials that you guys are going to get to see in the beginning. So, without further ado, let's actually chat about what's happening on screen. Our 2 eggs have just been selected after speaking to Digimon, and our 2 Digimon have just Digivolved twice. Both Digimon have Digivolved 1 time each, but they're still not quite at rookie mode yet. So the first question I get asked when starting Next Order is, Jack, how do you know when to go outside into the world? I keep going out into the world and I keep getting destroyed, like I'm running out of health items, I don't have enough money, my Digimon are getting, injured, and then I can't afford to pay for the bandages. These are all going to be common questions for a lot of new players. And if you guys are sitting here watching this and you are not a brand new player, then the video might not be as helpful to you. I'm going to cover a lot of very basic stuff, but at the same time you might find something useful in here. just bear in mind that if you think a lot of these tips and a lot of the things that I'm going to discuss as we watch and kind of experience the video, then some of it is going to be helpful for you guys and some of it is not. But when I selected my Digimon at the start here, I did not have any particular eggs in mind. Sometimes people ask me, you know, straight away, Jack, like, what are the best eggs? What's the first starting Digimon that you choose to go for? And honestly, guys, when I play this game, I just free flow in the beginning. I don't care about anything. I just try and relax. The things that I should pay attention to or point towards, and something that you guys might want to take an interest in right now with the training wheel, is what I am putting my Digimon on to train immediately. So day 1 of Digimon World Next Order, I don't even leave the village. And again, you guys don't have to play this way. I'm not saying this is the absolute masterclass way. I'm just showing you guys what I do, and then you guys can decide what you just want to do afterwards. You know, you can follow my footsteps, or you can ignore my advice completely and do whatever you want. You know, it's an RPG at the end of the day, and I want you guys to have fun with it. That's the whole point. But I would absolutely recommend, if you guys have no idea what to do with the training wheel in the beginning, HP and speed are an absolute must. This is something I said in my guide and I stand by it. HP is very important in the beginning of Next Order because obviously when you're fighting against these random enemies, you're trying to make money, you're trying to gain XP, you're trying to gain items. You want to have as much of a health pool as possible to prevent your Digimon from being one-shot and or more than likely injured. So HP is essential for survivability. And then after that, speed is pretty important for me, because speed is going to determine how often your Digimon run in and attack. So if you can get your Digimon doing that more than the enemy, it will give you an opportunity to build order points, which you can then use to absolutely obliterate the bad guys with your own player-controlled moves, right? So some other stuff to get into as we finish up here, because as we head towards the end of day 1, our Digimon will be going to sleep here. But interestingly enough, what happens is I was fully expecting my Digimon to have Digivolved prior to this, and I've just realised actually I'm going to quickly mute this part because something I never caught in my editing earlier. If you guys wondered why my Digivolution audio was not available earlier on in this guide as I was talking through the intro, it's because this segment of the game is actually copyrighted on YouTube, so I'm not muting this just purely to be a villain. This part of the game is actually problematic, shall we say, on YouTube, but again, you guys are not really that interested. I will only try and mute the Digivolution audio just as a quick FYI. But anyways, we get into our rookies here, and our Digimon are just about to go to sleep. So I'll bring back our audio now. And yeah, I was actually a bit confused with Garurumon and Snowgabumon when I first played this. I was a bit perplexed on stream because I fully expected my Digimon were going to Digivolve and then immediately go to sleep. So there's actually a bit of hesitation here, and you'll notice that although the video was free-flowing quite smoothly in the beginning, my rate of pace is slowed down here because I was a little bit confused. And that's another integral rule that we can kind of quickly discuss as we get going, is that Next Order is a game, although you think you know it, sometimes it can throw an absolute curveball at you. You will be one shot out of nowhere by an enemy that you don't think is threatening. Your Digimon will Digivolve unexpectedly, and then you'll have a huge desync between two of your Digimon. And there's a lot of stuff that can go wrong in the game, and it can lead to a lot of frustrating moments where things don't go according to plan. I've been there 100%, but for the most part, you want to try and relax when you play this game and just kind of take the moments as they come, and just understand that it's a long game and you will have plenty of time to do everything you want to do. So you might think, well, Jack, if I get Vegemon 8 times in a row and my other Digimon is dying and then becoming a baby and everything's desynced and I hate it, I would totally pat you on the back and be like, yeah, friend, I've been there. You know, it sucks. I've been there, guys, 100%. But what I'm trying to get across, and something you guys can take away, hopefully, is that Digimon World is a game that you want to not rush through. It's a game that you want to just relax and play through. And later on, there will be pressure, because I know your Digimon are dying, and I know sometimes you're trying to get to Mega level before one of your Digimon passes away, or you're trying to get a boss killed before your Megas die. And I understand all this for sure. I understand all that. But you will have numerous Digimon cycles, and later on, a lot of the stuff that you want, or at least you think you want as a player in the beginning, you know, maybe you want to go into a certain Ultimate, maybe you want to go into a certain Mega, maybe you want to do something with the game, and you have targets and goals. I find that letting myself kind of free flow through the early game is a lot more relaxing and chill than actually trying to force certain Digivolutions in the beginning, because later on in the game, it will be so much easier. But anyways, enough about that. Our Digimon actually digivolved into Rookie. They digivolved a little bit later, and Garurumon and Snow Gaburumon or Goblimon here are both kind of evening type Digimon, which is why the Rookies didn't actually go to sleep sooner. You might find that when you first start playing this game, and maybe you're playing alongside me right now, right? Maybe you guys have reset the game and are looking to follow along in my steps as I play, and if you do want to do that, then I welcome you to do so, because again, I'm not going to edit too much of this video down. I'm going to try and let it flow as naturally as possible. You might find that your Digimon digivolve a little bit sooner than mine. You might find that they digivolve an hour before mine or an hour after. Maybe your Digimon aren't getting tired on the training wheel, etc. But just go with the flow. Day one, I would always stay in the village and I would train HP and then whatever other variable that you think is useful on the training wheel. In regards to the training wheel, we will have plenty of time to talk about grinding in the gym versus grinding out in the world, guys, in battles, as we fight against Patamon here. But I will say that the first time you use the training wheel in this game, just as a kind of side miniature pro tip, if you actually just leave the wheel to do its own thing, the very, very first time, the tutorial wheel, if you just don't touch any buttons, the wheel will actually give you the victory square for free, so that's kind of cool. Make sure on day one as well that if you are staying in the village and you're not leaving to go out into the world until day two, like I've done here in this video, make sure that you're dipping out of the training gym a couple of times every couple of hours in between your training sessions, because sometimes your Digimon will actually have like a little bonus where they look at each other and they high five, and then you get some bond points and you get some happiness boosts and some Digivolution info, which is probably the most important part at the early stages like this. So make sure you're stepping in and out of the training wheel area and in and out of the gym. As soon as I've moved into the next day, you'll see that I immediately go to the meat farm and collect meat. And then I immediately go into Korumon's, Digimon's house, and I speak to Korumon and pick up all the items, because you can do that every single day, guys. Korumon and Digimon's house will give you items every single day, and sometimes he can give you some really good stuff. Items that you might not necessarily want to use, but items that you can sell for money, generate that early game economy, buy in a bunch of recoveries, and basically just dominate whatever you want in the game. So this is the tutorial fight against Goblimon, and I can actually communicate a little bit more in the early phases of this video, like how the fights play out. So I'm waiting for my Digimon to attack here. Basic stuff. And then I even reset here with my Snow Gaburumon to try, and I actually think I messed this up. I'm trying to kill him fast before he can hit me. And I'm getting a little bit greedy here. There's no way that's going to connect. Oh, it does. It does. I lie. Thank you past me. Actually, you're a genius. For once. So this first battle is it's the tutorial one, and although I've tried to glaze over some of these tutorial parts of the intro, so that if you guys are just watching this like on, maybe you're watching at your desk or on your work break or whatever, I didn't want you guys to have to sit through all this nonsense, because a lot of what the game is going to teach you here, I'm going to try and teach you guys anyway, so we'll save ourselves both a bit of time. I immediately come out the Goblimon battle and I'm just grabbing some resources, not because they're OP, but just because I know that I'm going to be out here in the world for most of day 2, which is in-game Monday. You can see that in the top left-hand corner. I'm going to be out here in the world, and when you collect things from the overworld in terms of resource points, you can eventually fill up your backpack, but as time goes on, it will empty slowly, and you can continue to farm up. So here we are in our first unofficial, or our first official battle, I guess, outside of the tutorial, and it's the same as always. I'm waiting for my Digimon to run in and attack, and immediately push X to get the free order points. So if you time it, this will be X on the PlayStation or on PC if you're using a controller. X on the PlayStation controller. On Xbox, it will be the A button, and if you're on Nintendo Switch, I'm actually not sure, but whatever the button is to I can't speak. Rock that support button in the top left. You want to time it so that once your Digimon attacks, you immediately push it, right? You get a bunch of order points, and then the order points can be used to immediately annihilate the enemy, whether in the form of limit breaks or your regular attacks, right? So I'll fight that first Goblimon, and as you guys can see, because we have trained in so much HP, because we've trained in so much speed, we're not really threatened by any of these level 1 guys that are available right here. So what I want to do with my day, so that I don't just bombard you guys with doing fights over and over, and because I don't want to do that as a player when I'm playing, I'm kind of mixing up my gameplay a little bit here, where I take a fight, and then I look for some resources, and then I take a fight. Let's watch this closely. I mean, you guys will get into the rhythm of this very, very quickly, and some of you guys might already even be bored of watching some of these fights, but it's really quite important to teach some of the fundamentals here. And although I mess up a bunch of times, and you'll see me doing things incorrectly, for the most part, you guys are going to get it down pretty fast. Again, these videos I'm expecting to be watched by a wide variety of players. If you guys have played the game a lot and you don't need to watch this part, then feel free to skip ahead. But for everybody else that is just in for the ride and in for the long haul, these fights, watching them repeatedly played by someone like myself who has played the game a lot, it will help drill in some of maybe the core fundamentals that you aren't actually following suit. Mostly to do with timing your attacks, when to limit break, and how to look out for the enemy attacks, right? So this is our first level 2 Goblimon. And the main difference between this fight and the last one is that this guy will have a ton more stats, and he's also going to hit you a little bit harder. Now luckily this guy does not have any threatening moves that I am very, very scared about. There's an attack that some of the Digimon can have in this starting area, and it's this spin attack that you'll sometimes see. Again, we don't have to feel threatened by this guy. That being said, the reason I am healing up my Garurumon here is because I see that she's getting targeted. And I'm not scared about her dying, but what I am scared about is her ending the fight with a low amount of HP and thus developing an injury. What I tried to do here is I see that Snow Goblet... Oh, his name's Snow Goblet Volt. What the hell? Okay. Blue man with club. I noticed that he's got his limit break, and I try and immediately use it to try and cancel the damage from Goblimon, but unfortunately we still take the hit. No injuries after the fight, which is good, and we gain a little bit of stats. Now, what is important to note from that fight, as we speak to Tentomon here, is that just doing that one level 2 Goblimon fight, right, it cost us 2 small recoveries. We gained a couple of stats across the board, nothing super, super insane, but we actually gained plus 10 strength in both of our Digimon. Now, at this stage, you might see plus 10 and think, dude, those stats suck, but 10 points is actually like 1/8 of our current strength level, and therefore we have gained 1/8 of our power immediately from doing one battle. So if we fight this guy, he's going to give us plus 10 again, and we're going to gain 10 more fucking stat points. Again, fighting against the level 2 guys, we definitely run the risk of taking more injury, but there is one specific tamer point that I really, really want in the early game, and it's something that is going to change your guys' life if you haven't been using it. Now, rather than keep it a secret, I'm just going to explain right now. It is the block command that you guys are going to want. A lot of you guys might have guessed that already, but if you don't understand what the block command is or what it does, I'm going to blow your mind very shortly. Unfortunately, we don't have any tamer points right now, so we are tamer level 0, and therefore we have to build up towards that. Now, the only way I can get tamer XP at this point is from running around the map, collecting resources, but most importantly from these fights. We can gain a flat amount of tamer XP after every single fight we do. So although you might be fighting these Goblimon at this stage thinking, well, Jack, I'm not getting much XP, I'm not getting a lot of money, and the resources I'm getting dropped. I mean, here, look, we're getting 10 tamer XP, 40 bits, and 1 piece of meat. But again, we gain plus 10 stats and strength, and like I said, the tamer XP is going to be invaluable pretty quickly. So after I take this fight, I'm walking over and I'm looking for other resources on the ground. A lot of these items that spawn around the area, mushrooms, right, Digistocks, you get cob fruits and salty fruits and all these different coloured items. In this case, we pick up some scratchy grass, which is honestly the bottom of the barrel in terms of resources, but it's still something you can sell, guys. And later on, scratchy grass even has its own place in the game for reducing weight and things like that. So what I'm doing is I'm just trying to split up the gameplay. I'm fighting some enemies, and I'm taking stock of how healthy my Digimon are. I'm making very, very sure that we put our good HP training that we did on day 1 in the city. I'm putting that to excellent use here. And I'm keeping an eye on how much health my Digimon have remaining before I go into my next fight. So as long as my Digimon do not end the fight with below like 25% HP, I'm pretty certain that we won't get injured. And even if we do get injured, we have bandages from Garurumon at the start of the game to kind of help deal with that. So we're going to dive immediately into another fight with Goblimon level 2 as I walk through this area. I didn't actually think I fought this guy, but I wanted to have a look down this little avenue and see if there's any items I can find. Again, look, I'm waiting for Garurumon to land an attack. I'm waiting for Snow Goblimon to land an attack. And because this guy's close, I'm trying to hit him with this, but unfortunately it doesn't pay off. That's a mistake by me, but it's okay. Luckily, Garurumon is going to come up with the reverse butt attack. Patented special move of the little plant. You'll notice something that we can discuss really quickly here. That was a really good order command point. You see how we're getting plus 37 points, guys? That's just waiting on the attack to connect and then pushing the button. And then immediately resetting my attack after it all attacks on this guy. I don't know if I can land this Mac Jab. I go for it. We fail. Doesn't matter. Two two things that you guys might have to deal with right now. And it's something that is kind of a good example here. Both my Digimon only have melee moves at the moment. So that is a bit of a detriment, and that's something that some of you guys will have to struggle with. Now, hopefully when you guys picked your eggs, whether you targeted for a specific rookie or whether you just freeballed your rookies like I have in this video, you might find that, you know, one of your Digimon has a ranged attack. Again, I covered this in my guide, but ranged attacks are so helpful in the beginning, guys. Not only because they're, you know, they kind of home in on the enemies and don't often miss, it's more to do with the fact that your Digimon will be far back when they attack. So if the enemy has a melee move, there's a chance that he will only hit, or she, you know, the enemy Digimon will only hit one of your Digimon and thus save you some HP in the long run. So ranged attacks are pretty king. If you can get those, great. If you don't have them, it doesn't matter. Your melee moves will typically do a little bit more damage. But if they whiff a lot, then, you know, don't swear it, it happens. You might take a few extra knocks in the beginning, but it's not the end of the world. I'm using the new sprint run feature here, which is completely brand new to the Switch and PC, and my god, is an absolute blessing. For you PS4 players out there, you've struggled in Next Order over the past 4 years just running around at like regular speed, but now we have fast mode, which is nice. I'm talking to Palmon here because earlier on we actually recovered Tentomon. He's the only Digimon other than the tutorial Patamon that we have fought against. Tentomon, in my opinion, is the absolute only main objective that you want to achieve from your day-to-day. So this is day 2, right? We're on Monday inside of the game. Day 1 we spent time in the village, and day 2 we've just been roaming around fighting level 2 Goblimon. Pretty standard stuff, nothing groundbreaking here, but we're already starting to make insane progress, guys. And don't take my word for it, you'll see how smooth sailing we go through this, because there's nothing... I've played the start of Next Order many times, so luckily I have the benefit of knowing where to go, who to speak to, what items to save, what items to get rid of. And a lot of you guys who are brand new to the game, you won't have that knowledge yet. And that's why it's okay to feel a little bit peeved if you're not keeping up with other people. You know, if you're watching this and I'm doing things totally different to how you normally would, don't beat yourselves up about it. Just have fun. Just chillax, and it's okay to make mistakes a million times. Like I said, I made so many mistakes when I played this game at first, and you guys will too, and that's totally part of the process. But anyways, Tentomon is the absolute #1 goal. Tentomon is going to open the shop back at base, as you guys have seen, and he's very easy to recruit. Pretty much just because the game gives you recovery items at the beginning, and that's all he wants. He just wants a recovery item. You don't have to beat him in a fight, you don't have to battle him, and he joins immediately. Tentomon is going to unlock your ability to sell all of these things we have been collecting. See every scratchy grass that I have stopped and picked up, every single mushroom I have picked up, I can sell that to Tentomon now. And we're going to start to generate a nice healthy flow of healing items, which is going to basically allow us to never-ending train. And if you guys are going to take anything away from this video, that is the absolute crux of it, guys. That is the absolute crux. Next Order is not about having, you know, insanely powerful moves. It's not about having insanely powerful stats, although stats are a nice boon and you will need power at some point, right? It's about micromanaging your heals and your economy and being able to fight a boss with 30 recoveries instead of maybe having 10 recoveries, right? It's just simple stuff. This Garurumon is the first level 3 enemy we have fought in the game, and she has got a couple of prickly moves, but nothing terrifying. The only thing you guys want to avoid when you come into this area is fighting numerous Garurumon at once, right? You want to try and avoid that as much as you can. Here we just get the limit break off with our own Garurumon, and then as this Garurumon, the enemy flies through the air, we actually unlock our Snow Gaburimon ultimate as well, and so double ultimate, this guy doesn't stand a chance. That's why getting your timings down for your order points are so important, guys. I'm in this part of the woods for a couple of reasons, and you might be a bit bewildered in the beginning, like, Jack, where do I want to go? What areas are safe? You know, what enemies can I fight? All of that stuff I'm going to try and show you guys, but as another kind of side rule, you will generally learn that as you play. And that's why making mistakes is something you guys need to make peace with. So I'm going to stop trying to repeat, I'm going to try and stop repeating myself, but if you guys are getting destroyed here and there, don't sweat it, guys. It's honestly not the end of the world. And the more you get destroyed, the more you'll learn quickly, oh hey, I can go here, I can't go here. That enemy has got a really powerful move, I gotta be careful for that, yada yada yada. So I'm in this neck of the woods because I want to fight these Garurumon. They are the strongest enemies I can fight at this point and get decent-ish stats off. But also this area has a couple of Digimon that I can recruit. Mostly Numemon and also Wormmon, who is further down the path. Now, this area can be a little bit treacherous, and if your Digimon are not healthy, you can expect to get knocked out once or twice here. Again, the Garurumon, they don't have anything insanely powerful up front, but they've got a couple of nifty poison moves, and, you know, if you take some AoE damage, you can find that your recovery items diminish quite quickly, and then that's when you start to get into bother. I'm waiting for my own Digimon to attack. As soon as the attack lands, I hit X, I get 37 points. Now my Goblimon has his limit break, I can immediately cast it, and look, often you'll find that it halts the enemy in their tracks. So what I've done here is I've waited for, you know, trying to get the limit breaks as quickly as possible. Again, I don't even need to limit break here, but I immediately hit X, land the attack, enemy Auromon's defenseless at this point. I immediately get the limit break, and I don't even hesitate, guys. I just immediately punch it in. Because once you hit X and you gain order points, this is something that a lot of you guys will know, but a lot of you guys might not know. So again, I'm just going to treat this as an absolute beginner kind of seminar. When you guys hit X, your points immediately are added to your character. Your character kind of stacked points in the bottom right. So that's something worth considering. You'll see the points fly across the screen, but as soon as you click X, you will have the points to spend. So don't hold back, you know? I pick up a new move here for Garurumon from the enemy Garurumon, and I decide, hey ho, we were using Mac Jab, which is, I don't know, Mac Jab is what it is. I wanted to call it terrible, but it's just your basic bare bones starter fight move. But we swap over to the poison move because I think, not because it's better, but just because it seems more thematic. Again, there's things you can do in the game. Some decisions that you make will be important, but a lot of them won't be important. In this case, I opt for the less damaging move, just because I think it'll be cool on my little plant dude, you know? That is literally all it comes down to. So in that area, I realised that we've fought a couple of Garurumon, we've collected a couple of items, mostly mushrooms, nothing too exciting, nothing special. But I also kind of want to get out of there at this point, because I've burned a lot of heals, so I want to come back into Night Plains where I know it's safe, there's plenty of room for manoeuvrability, and there are tons and tons of respawnable items here. So all of these things on the ground that I'm picking up, they are respawning every single time you guys come in and out the loading screen. So rather than stay in that path and fight more of the little plant enemies, I'm coming back into here. 4 PM's coming up, and I know that I want to head back to the city at some point soon, but not before I want to do my rounds and collect all these stuff. So again, cheerful apple here. This item kind of sucks, I'm not going to lie. But it will sell for money, and right now we are completely broke. We are street cretins. We're living in File City with Digimon and his hairy face. You know, we're basically at the bottom rung of society right now. We have to try our best to absolutely save up as much as we can. So we're coming back in here, and I'm pretty much just retracing my steps from earlier, right? I'm going over here. I'm like, hey, can I find a mushroom? No. Scratchy grass is all that's there. I can't use that, so I'm just going to ignore it, save a bit of time, and head back over to here. Now, this Palmon, I think it is, what is it that she wants? Is it a salty fruit or something? One of her items that she wanted, and we'll find out what it is right now. Oh god, that was too fast. I think it was a salty fruit she needs, possibly, or a cob fruit or something. It's one of the items that we actually picked up on our scavenging run, and I know that I have that for her now. So I'm going to run back and I'm going to give it to her, and we recruit Palmon for the 3rd day. Now Palmon's going to go back to the village and give us more meat, so that is definitely something that's cool to get on the first day when you're out in Night Plains. But not essential, you know, doesn't matter. Either you get her or you don't. I'm coming back up here because I know this plant will spawn something, and although I don't know what the item's going to be, it's a duty fruit. I know that even if I come up there, guys, I'm going to get something that's normally worth like 50 or 100 bits to sell. And that's an absolute win. So, I'm not going to take too many more fights, but honestly, my Digimon have done enough. They're not fatigued or anything like that, so I don't have to worry about them getting tired. Obviously, we have to sprint back to the bathroom. This is just, this is going to be the way of things until we get some more porta potties, until we have access to the shopkeeper. Which is something, again, I'm going to go into more detail about what to buy and what to sell in just a second, but this is what my day 2 looks like in next order. Again, if you assume that day 1 is spending time in the village... Oh, there's a giant Numemon. I don't want to fuck with that, mate. Get out of there. Although, you know, I've spent a little bit of time... I spent most of day 1 training in the gym. That is the last time in my entire playthrough that I'm going to spend in the gym, guys. And we could get into a full-blown topic. I'm checking out the Goblimon here, and I'm looking, you know, I'm doing a little bit of research. I'm like, alright, we know the game a lot, but we can't remember. How strong are these guys? Okay, they're level 4. The ones in here are level 2, and we're kind of going... We're beating them, and comfortably beating them, but a little bit too strong. So I'm going to back out, and I'm going to fight this level 2 and see how we go on. But, yeah. day one is going to be the only time we spend in the gym, and I'm going to get into a full discussion about gym training versus training in fights in a little while. So if you guys are interested in that topic, I will come back to it, I promise. But for the time being, let's just focus on this, because we're going to have tons and tons of opportunities to chat about the nonsense in our downtime later. But this Numemon, I'm paying attention to this guy. I don't have any defend commands yet, and I know this guy's going to hurt me a lot, so on the off chance that he hits me with something big again, I'm making sure that my Garurumon is topped up, and I actually think I burned 2. Did I burn 2 heals there? I think I might have. That wasn't part of the plan. Waiting for my attacks to land, hit X, get my ultimate immediately, and that is me pretty much cushy. We're going to immediately one-shot this guy with our ultimate. Because although you might think, guys, hey, you might be fighting an enemy in this game sometimes, and this happens to me all the time, you can be deceived. Sometimes when you fight an enemy and they completely one-shot you, you think to yourself, my god, dude, that was not worth at all. This enemy is way more powerful than me. I can never fight this guy. When in reality, what you'll find, guys, is the enemy Digimon that you fight against are often, their power is not determined by how many stats they have. It's what moves they use, okay? And this is something me and the stream were talking about today. These Numemon here, although they might have less stats than you, if they have one groundbreaking, ass-kicking move that they can use that does like 600 damage, they can completely wipe you out if it hits both of your Digimon at once. Now, luckily in this case, from experience, I can rest you guys assured that these Numemon don't actually have super powerful... Well, they don't have super powerful moves, as he does 400 damage to my Snow Garurumon. That is 40% of his total health pool, so it is quite a lot, but my point is, and this is what I'm trying to get across to you guys, is sometimes enemies that you fight will seem extremely threatening, when in reality they just have one super powerful move, and although they might do a lot of damage to you, they might also be extremely squishy, which is exactly what this Numemon is. So you might think to yourself, well, we're not doing a lot of damage to him, right? And he's doing so much damage back. How are you supposed to beat him? Well, in reality, if we look at this ult that I get here just by timing my order command completely one-shots his ass. So he's just as squishy as you are. It's just that some of his moves are stronger than yours at the minute. And once we get our defend command very soon, we are going to go from kind of tiptoeing around the, you know, the treacherous nature of the game to becoming completely secure. Because what the defend command is going to do is allow us to block those one powerful, you know, the one powerful move that each Digimon often has, that scary move that can one-shot you and send you back to the city. If you learn to identify when that move is about to be used, and you can learn to block in time, this game is going to become your absolute bitch. You're going to be able to do whatever the heck you want, because once you dodge the power moves, your Digimon are never going to die. I'm going to teach you how to get enough money so that you can buy enough heals, and at that point, the game is your complete oyster. You can do whatever you want. So, Numemon has been defeated. We've killed a couple of Garurumon today, a couple of level 1 Goblimon, and a couple of level 2 Goblimon. At this point, I'm actually going to fight this Numemon. I think what I'm trying to do here is squeeze... Yeah, I opt not to do it, okay. I'm trying to squeeze as much Tamer XP out of these battles as possible. But I realise that it's 7 PM, it's night time, my Digimon are probably going to be tired soon. I'm just going to grab whatever items I can, and I'm going to head back to the city. And that is our first, our kind of first real day, if you like, in the field. Completely finished. So, I lied earlier. I lied, guys. I told you guys we were never going to go back into the gym, but I'm going to break that rule right now. And what I want to do is basically advance the story. I want to advance the time of the day just ever so slightly. We're going to dip back into the training hall just to get one more set of training out of our Digimon. Not because I want the stats, but because I want the day to refresh. I want my Digimon to go to sleep. I want to get the health gained back from sleeping. And then I want to begin this entire cycle all over again. But with some minor changes, right? Yes. So, as always, I think probably what I'm going to do here is go for, like, HP or something. Yeah, Garurumon, I'm looking at her HP and I realise it's a little bit less than Snow Goblimon. So, watch me fuck that. Yeah. We'll talk about the training wheel in a second, guys. If you miss a training wheel square, you get a little bit less stats. I think if you land on the training wheel, it gives you 1.25 stats. So you want to be landing it if you can, but if you miss it like I'm doing here because I'm a chump, it really doesn't matter, guys. One excuse I will throw at you guys, and I'll leave it up to you guys to decide whether you believe me or not, but I feel like the training wheel on the PC port is slower than the console, which is very strange. I feel like I'm a beat behind on the training wheel, and what will often happen is my square will land a second before the square that I want. And I don't know if that's to do with the port being slower or faster, I don't know, but that's my excuse. The point is, when you're training on the training wheel in the gym, if you mess it up, as I'm going to do multiple times in this video, then don't sweat it. It's really not that big of a deal. You will gain extra fatigue as well, by the way. If you miss a square, your Digimon will get more tired quickly, which is indicated in the bottom right when you're on the training wheel. You'll see the little underneath the weight box, or underneath the weight criteria down the bottom, you've got the little man with the pink bar. If you miss the training wheel square, that bar will fill up faster, which means you're going to have to rest often. And if you don't know how to do that, you can do it by speaking to the little red Digimon behind us, that little guy there next to the bunk bed in the corner. You can speak to him and rest. But we are going to sleep anyway, which is going to completely reset our fatigue. It's going to give us enough HP, and it's going to allow us to start the day all over again. And this is what the crux of Next Order is. It's about having a rhythm, it's about having a routine, and controlling everything that you do. I know it sounds like I'm coaching you guys how to get fit or something. I can hear myself speak sometimes and I'm like, Jack, shut the heck up, but there's truth in it, and I know it sounds cliche and cheesy, but there is something to it. We make sure to speak to Tanemon first of all, we make sure to speak to Garurumon, and then I'm going to do a couple of specific things here. So, we've got Patamon, who is our storage count, our storage Digimon. He's going to allow us to keep things in the bank, just like Agumon did in Digimon World 1. The only thing I am putting in here at this point is medicine and the spare bandage, I think, that we picked up from one of the fights. The reason I'm depositing medicine into the bank is because you never know when you're going to need that, guys. And although any future medicine we gain from Garurumon we're going to sell, the first one I'm always going to store just in case I need it. You don't want to sell it and then realise later that you need it, because medicine in the beginning of the game is very hard to come by. So this is where things start to get exciting. We start off with very little money, but look at all this money I'm starting to generate just from selling all the garbage we picked up in the world, right? Green mushrooms 4, I'm selling those for 100 bits. Salty fruit doesn't sell for much. But then my Digistocks, look, I've got so many of these, I'm selling them. Any excess, I'm keeping a little pool for myself in case my Digimon are hungry. The green Digistocks, technically I could have kept for a Numemon quest, which we're going to have a look at in just a minute. But now all this money that I've generated, I'm just going to go banzai, balls to the wall. I'm going to stack up on like a bunch of heals. I opt to go 15, which doesn't make any sense because that's not an even number. Same with MP, my god. We buy one extra porta potty just in case things go astray. I call the toilets porta potties, by the way, just because that's what they were called in the PS1 game, which is the original Digimon World, which this game was based off of. So if I say that and you are confused, I'm not being a weirdo. That's just what they were called in the original. I make sure to save my game here, guys, and this is important. You know, when you reset your day and you pick up all your items, you sell all the excess from the day before, you buy all your items after, you come out the city, you want to save. Because my Digimon are, again, nighttime Digimon, they go to bed a little bit later than some of your Digimon, and they wake up later as a result. So if your Digimon are going to sleep at like 8 PM and mine's are going to bed at midnight, don't panic, right? Don't think, oh my god, Jack, my Digimon are going to sleep way sooner, does that mean that they're weak? It's like, no. Some Digimon go to sleep early, some Digimon go to sleep late. If you go to sleep late, you will wake up later. So if you go to sleep at like 8 PM, 9 PM, your Digimon will probably wake up at like 7 in the morning. Something like that. It's always a fixed time limit, I believe. And then I think as your Digimon get more powerful later on in the game, you'll find that sometimes they do weird stuff like sleep less. And that's just the game trying to give you the bonuses of having like Mega Digimon. You'll find that a lot of the Royal Knights, for example, don't actually ever need to go to the bathroom, which is a bit strange, but... Anyways, our Digimon are a little bit stronger than they were yesterday. We've done a couple more training sessions in the gym, but the main difference, guys, that I want you guys to take away, is that now we have a ton of heals. We are very, very strong in terms of our wealth, in terms of our economy, and that's going to make things super easy. So this level 1 Goblimon, I'm fighting him for a couple of reasons, right? One, because he's no threat to us at all, but two, once I beat him, because it's my first fight of the day in the morning, it's very likely that my Digimon are going to get a little bonus after the fight is done. And then in addition, I'm also building up battles with the Digimon for today, which also gives you extra order points when you're fighting. That's something that not a lot of people will know. And if I don't explain any of this enough, guys, here's the bonus I was looking for. So I take a fight in the morning and we get guaranteed this little bonus here, which reveals some information and gives us bond boost. The bond boost, if you stack that higher, guys, between you and your Digimon, when you go into battles and fight enemies, the order points that you start with in the bottom right is going to be greater, okay? So when you first start out the game, your Digimon hate each other, they hate you, and as tough as that may sound, they hate everyone. Okay, don't take it personally. When you go out into the world, you're going to have to build up your order points from 0 every time you go in a fight, right? And it's hard to get to your limit breaks. But the more fights you do and the higher your bond is, the more points you actually begin with. And as this day goes on and as I play through this part of the game, you guys are going to get to see that for yourselves. But yeah, to my point that I was making a second ago, if I explain something in this video, guys, that you have, maybe I've talked over it too quickly, or maybe my accent is so strong that you can't understand a word I'm saying, just ask in the comments, anything at all, no matter how silly you think the question is. If I've had people messaging me on Twitter asking me how to feed their Digimon. This game is really weird and it doesn't really explain anything, right? It doesn't explain very much. And so if you're brand new and you have questions, please ask them in the comments. I've been trying to be as dedicated as possible over the last few days to read my comments on YouTube, and I've tried to reply to as many people as possible. So, like I said, just ask away, and I can explain something in more detail. I'm running around up in this area, and you can see that my Digimon both need the bathroom, but I'm not threatened by that at all. If you let your Digimon go to the bathroom on the overworld, it'll count as a training failure, or a care mistake as it used to be called. And although I want to avoid that, it wouldn't be the end of the world. For the most part, I'm going to try and get to the bathroom because letting my Digimon go to the bathroom will keep them happy. We will avoid any training failures, and I think it balances out your weight a little bit as well. I'm not entirely sure about that, but you guys can correct me. Yeah, we get a little happiness boost. So I've done my little roam around Plains. I've collected all my items because, again, remember, we just bought a stash of small recoveries. So although we made a lot of money in the first day, I'm kind of broke now. So I need to build up my reserves again, my cash reserves, if I want to be able to do this again tomorrow. I'm thinking about the future. And although my Digimon are getting stronger, and although we're getting more powerful, we need to be thinking ahead to make sure that we don't leave ourselves high and dry, because then it's going to be really hard to dig ourselves out of a hole. If you can imagine a world in the game where you have no money and you have no heals, it's like, well, how do you make money? You'd have to do something like just go out and scavenge a bunch of resources again, I guess, or maybe fish once you get the fishing rod. If you guys don't know how to get any of that stuff, don't worry, because I'm going to show you in just a little minute. But for the time being, we've collected all of our jazz, and we have wandered back into this part of the game to fight some more of these Garurumon. And again, we're still getting okay stuff, you know, not amazing stats, but it's still stats nonetheless, and they are all slowly accruing an advantage over these beginner Digimon. And that's all we really need to conquer at this point. You can see I've very BMingly harvest some tree wood here in front of this Garurumon as he comes kamikazing towards me. A lot of the Digimon in this game will run at you in the beginning when you are under their stat threshold, or whenever the game determines you to be weaker than them, the enemies will aggressively sprint at you, and that can be a bit annoying. But when you get powerful enough, the enemies will stop running at you, and then sometimes they'll even start to walk away from you as you come up close to them. And that's when you know you've become a badass. But yeah, some of these Garurumon fights are not that exciting, but again, hopefully, I'm kind of going through the same motions every time. I'm trying to get my limit break as fast as possible, because the limit breaks are ultimately going to let you end the fight quicker. You're going to use and waste less healing items if you can kill the enemy faster. And obviously the stats that you gain from the battles is the same regardless of whether the fight takes 10 seconds or takes 10 minutes. So here I've just gained my first Tamer level up, and this is mostly due to all the stuff we've been doing, harvesting all the things, collecting all the items, and more importantly, fighting all the battles. I am immediately going to go into the commander tab here, and I'm going to take this block command. And now you guys are going to get to see how easy this game can become, because at this point, up until this point, our Digimon have been kind of exposed to the elements. Every time we fight an enemy, I have to just take damage on the chin, but that is going to change completely now. And that has just enhanced us, it's given us so much more power and combat potential than we would have had before now. So I'm going to show you exactly how the block command works, if you don't already know. I'm going to try and keep my Digimail cleanly away from you guys. I know some people get triggered when I don't open my Digimail, so I'm making a conscious effort here to behave myself, guys. The Digimail in this game is so funny. It's kind of like the game's way of allowing you to keep track of your objectives, which again, Digimon World 1, you're going to hear me say that sentence quite a lot, by the way, in reference back to this original game. You don't actually have to have played the PS1 version of Digimon World to enjoy this one, but this game is definitely a love letter to that game, and there's so many similarities, there's so many throwbacks. Even the soundtrack in a lot of areas of this game is a recreation of the original composed music for the PS1 game. So yeah, there's a lot of comparisons, but there was no quest log in DW1. You were very much just left to your own devices, and that game was very similar to this in the sense of, here's your Digimon, here's some items, now go outside and do some work. And you're like, wait, what? Where'd I go? Who'd I fight? Can I fight this guy? Oh my god, he's going to kill me. Like, that's literally what this game is. But at least this time you've got a bit of a quest log. I come over here to this particular tree. I love this tree. I call this tree the sap tree, and I tell everybody about it because at the beginning of the game, when you start to upgrade your buildings, you will need Digisap, and often a lot of people don't know where to get it. That tree there, you can harvest once, and it will give you like sometimes 5 to 7 bits of Digisap. So there you have it. Cool fun fact for the day. I know you're absolutely riveted, chat. But yeah, I'm going to be doing a couple of these fights in a row, and then we will be moving on very quickly. There's 2 Digimon in this area that I can recruit for the city, and one of them is kind of cool, and the other one is okay as well. Numemon is going to need 5 green Digistocks. These Garurumon can drop the Digistocks, and because I sold 4 to the shopkeeper this morning, I now have to find another 5. So when I get those, I can give them to Numemon, and he's going to give us one of the easiest fight in the game. One of the easiest fights in the game, next to the Patamon tutorial fight. And then the other guy in this area does not need fought at all. He is just literally Wormmon, and he will make you a fishing rod, which is really cool. I'm trying to figure out what's happening here. Is my video crashed, or is this... Nope, this is just a pause moment, I guess. I don't know what's happening here, but regardless, this menu is actually worth talking about for a second or two. This is the tactics menu. You can actually open that up when you are inside of a fight, not outside of a fight, and it can allow you to select targets. And you can also choose to tell your Digimon to fight with more MP, less MP, or balanced MP. So if you feel like your Digimon have big moves but they're not using them enough, you can make them hyper aggressive and use the big powerful moves first. Or if you find that like you have Digimon who have powerful moves but they're using them too frequently, you can actually tell them to balance that out a little bit and fight more conservatively. So let's talk about battling in the gym, or battling and gaining XP from battles versus training in the gym, right? Because I get asked this question a lot, and I've had so many people from different sides of the coin speak to me about their own ways of playing. Now, if you guys have watched any of my guides, specifically my training spots video, you guys will know that I basically only and exclusively fight enemies in the overworld, right? I never really visit the gym unless I am a baby Digimon and I'm trying to gain, you know, enough stats to Digivolve. Or I'll also go into the gym if I have an hour to spare in game and I don't want to sit and watch my Digimon scratch their butts. So you can train in the gym in this game if you want to. I know some people advocate for that, and that's completely cool. At the end of the day, this game is a video game that you know, you guys can play whichever way you want. If you guys are in the gym training, maybe you're having a lot of success with that and the game's going really well for you, absolutely cool, guys. Have a blast and knock yourselves out, right? But if you guys are in the gym training and you're struggling and it's not working for you, then I would vastly suggest that you guys kind of watch what I'm doing here and maybe try and explore some of the combat a little bit more, because there's a whole number of reasons. I mean, the first and most important part of battling the enemies, just as we speak to Wormmon here, we're going to go and get his fishing rod item, which I know is in this area. It's very close. Fighting enemies in the overworld takes no time, guys. Again, if you've watched my guides, my brand new guides, you'll have seen this for yourself, right? And I explained this as clearly as I could. When you enter a fight in this game, the time completely and utterly halts. So when you train in the gym, by comparison, an hour will pass, an in-game hour will pass. So if you can imagine, if we can squeeze in multiple fights within an hour, let's say we fight 5 Goblimon. You could probably get in way more than that, but let's say you're in an area where you can reset the loading screen, you can reset the fights. Maybe you fight 5 Goblimon in an hour. And in the beginning of the game we were getting like, what, plus 10 strength? That's like plus 50 strength, or 5 battles, and then any other incremental stats that we're gaining along the way, whether it's HP or defense, wisdom, etc. So you're gaining multiple stats. Once you learn to fight against the more powerful enemies later, once I show you guys, maybe again if you're watching the guides or you're learning the game for yourself, you'll see that some enemies later on will teach you and give you insane amounts of stats at the same time. You know, you're talking like plus 24, plus 25, plus 26 across all of your stats at the same time, and then suddenly fighting in the gym to me is just not even an option. Another thing that the battles in the real world will give you that the gym won't is it will give you tamer XP, and it'll also let you look at something on your TV or your monitor other than the training wheel roulette, you know, spin thing. So I don't know what I'm doing here. What am I doing? Am I trying to bait these Garurumon? I'm trying to lose track of some of the Garurumon so I can fight one more, I guess. But yeah, I feel like sitting looking at the training wheel. Let's say you do like, you train in the gym for like an hour, you train, you feed your Digimon, you train. You know, your Digimon eventually Digivolve, and then you take them outside into the world. I feel like your Digimon are then likely to die fairly quickly because you've spent an entire day of training rather than a couple of hours of training inside of the game time. I mean, of course. Now, if you guys are going to do like 50 battles in a row on the overworld, yeah, that's going to take you a lot of time in real life. But what you'll find is your in-game timer is moving very gently and hasn't moved at all. So, for example, you could fight against these Garurumon, fight as many as you want in a row, and maybe squeeze in like 10 battles. Now, those 10 battles in real life might take you like 10-50 minutes. But then inside of the game, you might find that only an hour has passed. And so you start to see how when you're getting the right stats from the right enemies, this can really pay off massively. And suddenly all these Digivolution requirements that you think are very hard to achieve, whether it be for Champion or Ultimate or Mega, they start to become very realistic very quickly. I remember looking at my my stats for like the Mega requirements when I first played this game, and I thought, how in the heck am I meant to get 3000 strength to get to X Mega Digivolution? How is that possible? And if you only train in the gym, you might be a little bit baffled, but later on you're going to see that when we fight X enemies, you can actually start to get really, really crazy stats. And again, because the time freezes, you can gain lots of stats very, very quickly, assuming that you've got the patience and the willpower. Now again, I know it sounds, guys, like I'm biased, and I guess I kind of am in a way. I can't really hide it, but you guys, again, just to recount this again, you guys can do whatever you want when you play this game. And if you tell me, if you come into the stream or come and talk to me, or even in the comments of this video, if you say, Jack, I'm training in the gym and I'm having a blast, then that's awesome. You know, I'm not trying to fight against you. These comments in this discussion is more for people who are maybe training in the gym and are trying to figure out if there's other ways of doing it. The answer is yes, in my opinion. And although you can upgrade the gym through your tamer skills, there are so many more powerful tamer skills that I think you should be prioritizing in the beginning than putting all your tamer skills into gym training, as a lot of players probably do. There's so many more tamer skills that you want to be putting into other things early on rather than all of the gym upgrade equipment stuff. It's just silly. When you come to upgrading your village later on, because that is a feature that a lot of you guys will have had by now, and if you haven't, don't worry. It's not really a spoiler. This is the Digimon Fight, by the way. This is a city recruitment. We're making sure to block his big attack, but this guy will immediately die. Look how much damage we're going to do to him. He's a very, very weak Digimon, so again, although he might hit you hard, don't be baffled. This guy is very squishy. And I think 2 hits is going to be enough to kill him, yeah. So just be careful with this guy. If he hits you hard, don't be scared. He's not that scary. You should be able to 2-tap him. But yeah, to kind of wrap up that discussion, the gym training is cool, but yeah, I think that overworld fights in this game specifically are way more valuable for so many, you know, all the reasons I've listed. I won't go back through them again because you guys are starting to lose your mind. A lot of you guys are like, Jack, you're preaching to the choir. I already get it, but the reason I want to go into depth is because some people might not understand, some people might think I'm wrong, some people might argue the other way, and that's totally fine too, you know. I'm not too fussed. This is just the way I play, and that at the end of the day, I can only show and I can share with you guys how I play and showcase the benefits, and then afterwards you guys can decide to go and do as you please. So we managed to recruit Wormmon, we give him his item, and we come out of that area after also recruiting Numemon. We have our fishing rod, and it's starting to get a bit later into the next day. I decide to once again challenge yet another Numemon. And we're going to just beat this guy up very, very quickly. We'll see if I can show you guys the defend command, because we do have access to that now. So I'm watching the Numemon. I've turned my dynamic camera off, by the way, in the bottom left. You can see that. Okay, I probably should have blocked that, but I decide to just take it full on in the face. And now my little Snow Goblimon is stunned, which means I cannot control him at all. We managed to get poison off on him, which is nice. And I get my limit break immediately on a Garurumon, which should stop this guy in his tracks. And that means that Snow Goblimon will not only will we kill this guy, but Snow Goblimon is not going to take any damage as well. So that's something that you can do sometimes. a lot of the time, unless it is a big boss with a powerful move, guys, a lot of the time you can actually use your limit break to cancel whatever the enemy Digimon is doing, and also avoid some of their damage too. Don't be surprised though if your team, I had this happen to me today on stream, I actually did a double limit break, and when I came out of the limit break animation, one of my Digimon was dead on the floor, so just be careful of that, okay? Just because you're popping your limit break, although it can slow down the enemy and sometimes cancel whatever they're doing, your Digimon aren't completely immortal in that stage. And although I would like to give you guys more specifics on how to survive and how not to survive, a lot of the time, like 99% of the time, you will do your ultimate limit break, your finishing move, whatever you want to call it, and it will protect you, you know? Sometimes if an enemy Digimon is attacking you, you'll take no damage. But you can sometimes also die in that window, so just be careful of that. So yeah, I've got one more guide that I was working on today that will be out after this one at some point, and it's to do with the Act 1, well, the Chapter 1 boss. There's a couple of boss fights in Next Order in the beginning, and they are a huge wall of pain. And I'm sure that a lot of you guys have maybe already encountered this boss, or maybe you have just managed to beat him, or maybe you're struggling with him right now. Regardless, I've got some information coming out towards you guys soon where I'm going to show you guys how to beat him and what to do in order to prepare for him and things like that. So look for that guide if you need more help, and to everybody else, then you guys can also check out if you fancy. I'm heading back to the city soon, and again, I'm trying to squeeze as much juice out of my Digimon as possible here. I'm trying to get XP, I'm trying to get stats, I'm trying to get money, and most importantly, I'm trying to get some tamer skills. So I'm just going to be fighting these guys over and over. I wish honestly, the guys, that there was more exciting battles to be showcasing at this point of the game. But if you want to take it nice and slow, this is how I do it. And I wish I could have taken you to like 10 different locations at this point, but that's not really what the game's about. It's about taking your time and just relaxing and slowly farming up, and then before you know it, once you have the tamer skills, once you have the money and the city recruits, you will be able to kick your gear from like 1 or 2 into, you know, max gear, and you'll get mega, and you'll be able to blast around and pretty much complete most of the game in 1 or 2 sessions. And I mean that, like, truthfully. I think when I first played this game, my first generation of Digimon, and this is actually quite a good topic because a lot of you guys asked me this. A lot of people say, Jack, when should I power grind? Should I try and get mega on my first gen? And the answer is you can. You can do that if you want. And I'm sure a lot of you guys have already done it, but I would never try to do that. And I just don't see the point in it. You know, I wanna enjoy the early game of Next Order, and there's going to be time for me to stress out later. Why would I be sprinting around crazy out of my mind wondering if I can get to mega stats with my Gen 1s? Because I don't need to. You can, like I said, you absolutely can. But do you need to? No. So my first generation of Digimon, I just use them to explore the game a little bit, have a look around. I want to make sure that I'm farming money and I'm making money, I'm not losing money. I'm farming items, I'm farming tamer points, and I'm also just relaxing a little bit, right? I know I keep repeating myself, but it's what I want to, it's the point I want to try and hit home, right? If I get these guys, if I get to champion level, and I realize that one of my Digimon is going to go into Ultimate, I will absolutely try and get the other Digimon into Ultimate. And I think that's what happens with these guys eventually. I get both of these guys to Ultimate later on, but my point is that I'm not trying to get Mega straight away. Some people say like, oh Jack, what happens on my first gen if I want to get X Mega and I can't get to the criteria, my Digimon keep Digivolving into the wrong one. What I will say is, and again, I've kind of recounted this earlier, but I'll just say it again very briefly. Later on in the game, there will be tools that you have access to as a player that will allow you to control whatever Digivolution you want. But right now in the beginning, you don't have access to those tools. You just don't, okay? There's city recruitments that you can get. There are city upgrades that you will obtain, and it will make you... It will give you more options and flexibility with Digivolutions in a way that will allow you to notch off and prevent your Digimon from changing into ones you don't want. So again, it's kind of spoilery, but at the same time, I think a lot of you guys need to hear this. In the beginning, don't worry too much about what your Digimon are going to change into, because later on you can control whatever you want, okay? It'll get really easy in the later parts of the game. But for the time being, in Chapter 1 and Chapter 2, just go with it, you know? If you end up with some ass Digimon that you didn't want, it's not a big deal, guys. And although it might be a little bit frustrating, just keep your eyes on the horizon, you know, keep your eyes on the future and know that it will get better very, very soon. So Digimon, we go back and meet him, and again, I'm trying to cut out as much story stuff as I can later on, so this is the only time you guys are going to get to see Digimon on screen in this video. The rest of the interactions for the story and any kind of interactions between Digimon and the other characters I have removed, so rest assured there's no more stuff like that in this video. But same as yesterday when I came in here, we're going to just hit up the gym, hit up the shopkeeper in the morning, collect from Patamon, collect from Koromon, and we're going to rinse and repeat. You can see we've got some tamer skills here, and I'm actually unsure about what I do with my tamer skills. Let's see what Past Jack has decided to do. Oh, he's going into the mail. He's sending a little message to one of his fly honeys. And by fly honeys, I mean Digimon, of course. Yeah, don't force it too much in the beginning, guys. Just go with the flow is my advice, and you'll live a more relaxed existence. Because again, if you try, let's say you're trying to get Agumon, right? Or you really want to get Gabumon, and your Digimon turns into, I don't know, fucking Numemon, you're going to be a bit tilted, right? I guess if you were shooting for a rookie and you ended up with a champion, that would be rather surprising, but you get the point, right? I'm just trying to advance the day here. I'm keeping an eye on the speed and the HP. A word of warning, guys, and this is kind of counterintuitive to what I taught you guys earlier. I always stress that HP and speed is a really good area to put your points into if you're unsure, right? Because HP keeps you healthy and speed allows you to attack more, yada yada. If you guys do that repeatedly, you might end up with the same Digimon over and over. So just a quick heads up, right? When you are looking to Digivolve into Champion, when you're looking to Digivolve into Rookie form and, you know, any of the other forms, if you're constantly putting points into the same stats like HP, you might end up having the same Digimon frequently. So that's the only problem with this. If that's something that bothers you, if you want to explore more Digimon when you play, because that's something I really like. I like having variety in my partners. I don't like looking at the back of Garurumon's head all the time, right? As much as I love the guy, it's like, Garurumon, for the love of fuck, man, give me a break. He's like, Jack, but you love me. No, Garurumon, I do, but like, come on, man, go home. Oh. So, yeah. We're going to rest up and recover. It's past midnight, and I know my rookies are about to go to bed, so we're going to go to sleep indoors. Snow Goblinmon doesn't want to go to sleep. I never put up with this garbage in the beginning. Unless you really, really want to lower your discipline, guys, I would always advise scolding here. If you're unsure, just scold. Going to give you a bunch of bonuses normally, and although sometimes your Digimon might get pissy, this is way better in my opinion. If you go to sleep outside in the wilderness, i.e. not in the city, not in a building, not in Digimon's house, Snow Goblinmon is really, he's really not towing the line here, I swear. This guy's getting no porridge for his breakfast. If you're outside in the world and you go to sleep, your Digimon will wake up and they will gain back less HP, less fatigue, and they will be slightly less happy than if you go to sleep in Digimon's house or here in the gym. So that's why I always come in here at the end of the evening and make sure I put my Digimon to sleep indoors. So just a quick heads up. Here's Numemon. He's going to give us some porta toilets. He only gives us one, which is kind of rude because we have two Digimon. So unless our Digimon are willing to share the same porta potty, which, spoilers, they can't do. It's a bit fucked up, honestly. Numemon, I don't know what your game plan is, mate. But we also get a bunch of free stuff from Kunamon here, and we are going to then immediately do the exact same stuff as before. I'm going to see if I have any... Do I have anything to store here? Maybe I want to put something special in here. I don't know what that would be, though. Maybe some items down the bottom. I'm looking to see if there's anything worth storing, but realistically, none of this stuff is worth storing. Maybe the hunk of meat, maybe? No. Changed my mind. I'm like, nah, it's fine. But that just means we've got more stuff to sell to Tentomon. So again, keep an eye on the money numbers here, guys. We're going to start off with 1400, which is still quite a good amount for day 3. Wait till you see me sell a bunch of crap here. And look how much money you can make. I'm keeping 6 Digistocks and I'm keeping 10 meat. And then the rest, look, straight in the bin. All of it. Look at my money flying up. This is literally how you get on in the early game. And if you start implementing this immediately, you're going to see massive differences in how much healing items you have. And obviously, the more healing items you have, the further you can go. Autopilots and porta potties is a really important topic, and it's something I actually haven't discussed. And honestly, it's something I probably should have discussed inside of the guides that I made, guys. But the autopilot in Digimon, if you guys don't know, the autopilot is an item that you can take, and it will immediately, without any time delays whatsoever, transport you back to the city. Okay, it's an expensive item. It costs 800 bits, and you might think to yourself, man, that's pretty expensive for a taxi, Jack, right back to the city. The autopilot is going to save you so much time, guys. It's going to save you so much time. It is hands down my favourite item in the game, and it is my favourite item in Digimon World 1 as well. The autopilots are OP, and so I always carry around a bunch of these. I carry around 3 typically in the early game, because one's for getting back to the city if I want to travel back, 2 is for also travelling back, and then the third one is for an emergency. Let's say you're out in the world and you have 0 HP and there's a red Vegemon just tearing its ass towards you. You're backed into a corner, you're crying, wishing you were anywhere else. You can actually just hit the pause menu, take an autopilot, and zip the hell out of there. So autopilots, you always want to have these available, because this game is constantly ticking by, right? That clock in the top left corner, it's constantly ticking, apart from when you pause or when you go into a fight, right? That means that your Digimon are growing. When they're in rookie form, they are aging, and when they get to champion, they are dying, okay? I know it's brutal. It's a really, really horrible feeling when you think about your Digimon constantly ticking away. It's a lot of pressure. And when I play video games, there's a lot of games out there to choose from. I don't really like games that put me under pressure like this. I like relaxing, right? I like having fun. But it is totally and utterly manageable if you are well behaved with your time. Now, as you can see with these 2 rookies, this is my Gen 1 team. And I've been very, very carefree and lackadaisical with how I'm spending my time. You can see right now I'm taking a little gander over to the right, I'm taking a little gander over to the left, I'm picking up Digi Mushrooms. You guys might be thinking, Jack, what the fuck are you doing? Like, why are your Digimon are dying, bro? Go do something useful. It's for these guys, from my Gen 1s, I know they're trash, guys. My first 2 Digimon are going to be garbage. My Gen 2 Digimon are going to be way stronger, and my Gen 3 Digimon, when they are finally born, are going to be god tier. So, I'm just chilling, you know? I'm picking up items. I'm making money. I'm recruiting whatever Digimon that I can. In this case, Tentomon, Palmon, Numamon, Wormmon. All of these beginner enemies that will come back to the city, become friendly, and then give you something beneficial. I'm grabbing all those guys as quickly as I can. As the topic of going to the bathroom comes up here, we're going to nip back to my earlier point, because I was going to talk about porta potties, right? So, porta potties and autopilots, you need 2 porta potties to allow your Digimon to go to the bathroom, and all they are is the same as the autopilot, except for instead of taking you back to the city, they will just allow you to get rid of your Digimon needing to go to the bathroom. You can do it anywhere in the world, and so you always want to carry around an ample stash of porta potties or portable toilets for moments where you cannot find the bathroom. Now, I know this. There's the giant Numamon again, just fucking looming in the background. What an absolute psycho. Obviously, I know this game really well. I know where the bathrooms are, guys, in each area. As a new player, you will not know where the bathrooms are. And although you will start to get used to finding them, there's going to be times where your Digimon need the bathroom at the most inopportune moment. And it's going to be fucking mad, you know? You're like, oh my god, guys, of all the times to take a deuce, now is not the time. So in order to cut that fear out of your life, just carry around some portable potties. Really, really cheap item, and Numamon will give you 1 a day. So I would build those up. If you need to use them, and if you don't, keep a stash. I normally keep like 6 on me, but that's realistically a bit overkill. If you're going exploring for the day and you have no idea where you're heading to, if you're going into a new biome and you don't know where anything leads to, you can maybe take more if you need to. But in the early game, 6 is enough for me. Remember, it's 1 for each Digimon, so that's 3 trips to the bathroom. You can 3 emergencies that you can get away with. So, let's quickly talk about this area we're in right now, because there might be a couple of you guys watching this a little bit perplexed. You might be thinking, Jack, see when I come in here, there's a bunch of Goblimon or Numamon that are trying to kill me every single time. The reason why this area is clear at the moment, as we talk to Kuwagamon, is because there's actually a storyline waiting for us at this point. So we actually recruited enough Digimon in the beginning that Digimon is telling us that there is actually a quest marker in this area. And when there is a quest in a certain area of the map in this game, what the game will do is it will clear all the Digimon out of the area. So I actually came in here to show you guys some fights against the level 5 Goblimon, because at this point I think my Digimon can handle it. And I've also got a ton of heals available. So I'm thinking, hey, like I could show the guys how easy it is to beat these Goblimon, but the story is in the way. Now, what I'm going to do because of that is take advantage of it. So because the story's there, there's no random Digimon spawning. This allows me to actually recruit Kuwagamon with relative ease. So there's a Kuwagamon guy in there. You might think when you first see him that he's going to be an aggressive, ferocious Digimon. Normally Kuwagamon in the anime and stuff is always this kind of crazy ass bug Digimon that just goes bananas. I'm thinking of Digimon Season 1 specifically. And actually in this game you don't have to fight him at all. You just have to go and get his item. Now his item will always spawn in the exact same place, and it's back in here where we've been a million times. So don't panic if you guys are like, Jack, for the love of God, we've been in here 1,000 times. We're just going to nip in here quickly, and I'm going to pick up the guy's item, and then we're going to immediately head back to Kawagumon and advance the story. Now you guys can do this if you want. It doesn't matter if he's can do the same things as me or not. It's again up to your guys' selves. I've decided to fight this Garurumon here because I haven't actually fought a Digimon in a couple of hours, and I'm thinking that if I kill this Digimon, there is a chance that I actually get my my little stat boost, my little post-battle boost that sometimes pops up. So we'll see if I'm correct in my thinking here. I'm not fighting this Garurumon because I really want to fight her. I'm just trying to get as many boosts as I can squeezed out of my Digimon. And you can see the difference in power now. We're actually completely annihilating this this guy compared to day one when we fought them. So even just 2 days of like relaxed training, I don't know what I was hoping for with that. That was very optimistic. I told Snow Goblin to attack there, and he was just 10,000 years away from the fight. Let's see if I get any bonuses here. Yep, exactly. So there you go. That's why I took a fight. Just so I can do this. They might even look at each other. Yep. Sometimes your Digimon will encourage each other, which is completely random. You can't decide for that to happen. I'm picking up these items. Oh, for the love of God. I apologize. I didn't know we took this many fights here. Every single time you get a little bonus post-fight. That happens, I think, 3 or 4 times a day, by the way. We can talk about this in a second, but every time you get that little bonus, guys, after the fight is done, or after you train and you come out the gym, your Digimon will unlock more information about their next generation of Digivolution. So if you're in Rookie form, you'll unlock information about your champions. If you're in Champion, you'll unlock info about your ultimates, and so forth, right? Every single day you have an opportunity to proc those bonuses. I think it's on a schedule. My chat was talking to me about this today, and I think in the morning there's an opportunity for you to get a bonus. In midday there's an opportunity for you to get your bonus, and then at dusk in the afternoon and the evening. So maybe 4 times you can do this a day perhaps. So if you have been wandering around, let's say you come out the village and it's 8 AM and you run to the server desert, and that takes you like 2 hours or whatever. It probably doesn't take you that long, but let's say you get there after 2 minutes in real life, which is 2 hours in game, and the day changes. I guess if you left at 8 AM that wouldn't happen, but you guys get the point. If the daylight changes, you want to probably take an immediate fight if you can fight any of the random enemies, because your bonus is probably waiting to be procced, and you should grab that while you can, because honestly, you guys will probably not care right now for Champion Digivolutions, but when you guys are Ultimate trying to get to Mega, or maybe even Champion trying to get to Ultimate, I guarantee you'll have one Digimon bound for glory, and they'll be sitting on their Ultimate Digivolution. Maybe they've already Digivolved in front of you, and the other Digimon is lagging behind. I guarantee you'll want as much information about that second Digimon's Digivolution as possible. So taking all these little small moments to like try and gain as much info as you can, it might seem like it's a bit overkill, and technically it kind of is. But again, if you want to give yourself as many advantages as possible, then that's what you can do. In order to progress the game, I'm actually just going to run up here and speak to this quest marker point, but I think in my editing I actually glazed over this, so we should see a bit of a, yeah, we see a little bit of a transition here. So there's Hamari, one of the main characters in the story. I don't want to again showcase too much of what Hamari's talking about, but realistically it's just your bread and butter RPG nonsense. You guys can enjoy that at your own pace later on. I'm not really here to show you guys any of that stuff in case people are worried. But yeah, what I'm going to do here is it's 5 PM. The day has passed quite quickly compared to some of the other days, and that's because in this one we've spent a little bit more time running around and a little bit less time grinding. But we're still picking up the occasional fight here and there. And now that Hamari has finished her spiel, we're going to be leaving this area, and this area will fill up again with enemies. The only thing is, at this point, I'm starting to think that perhaps my Digimon are close to champion level. And although they're not going to Digivolve immediately, it'll probably be tomorrow, I think. You guys can let me know in the comments, folks, if you enjoy this kind of content, by the way. Because again, it is very different to my kind of to-the-point, short and sweet guides showing you guys, you know, quick fire tips. Sometimes those can be very nice for people in order to pick up some helpful information about the game without overkilling it. Not everybody in their life has thousands of hours available to play Digimon World Next Order, so I guess that's why, you know, I guess these kind of tidbits, these small bite-sized videos with info is maybe more helpful. But if you guys do enjoy these kind of long commentaries, where I literally talk you guys through absolutely everything I'm doing step by step. If these are helpful to you, let me know. And if you guys do have questions, I should have said this earlier, but if there's a point in the video where we talk about a specific topic and you want to have more information about it given to you, make sure you timestamp, you know, in the video. If we talk at 22 minutes about a specific topic and you want to talk about it a little bit more, timestamp the 22 minutes in the YouTube comments. You guys can do that as viewers, and it'll help me find the exact point that you guys are talking about when I review it and help give you a clearer answer. So there's that. But I go into that area very quickly. That's the old cableway in there, and it's one of the first starting areas you can go to. The Numemon in there are level 7, and although I think we probably could handle them at this point, I opt not to you know, go 2 balls to the wall. And again, that's just tying into my philosophy earlier of, hey, you guys can be explorative in this game, and as a new player, you kind of have to. Sometimes you have to just throw yourself at the enemies and say, hey, can I actually fight this guy? And a lot of the time the answer might be no, but sometimes you'll be able to pull it off. If you're unsure or you don't want to stress yourself out, you don't want to push it too much, then just don't, right? Cooties Kick, my absolute favourite move in the game, Kappa. Thank God we got that. I can't wait to tell Digimon about that. I'll be posting it on Digi's social media later. But yeah, no, jokes aside, if there's an enemy that you are unsure of whether you can beat and you're not quite prepared to do it, maybe your Digimon have fought a lot that day, maybe one of your Digimon is at half HP, or maybe you're running low on resources and you don't want to, you know, you don't want to throw away all your success for one fight that goes poorly. It won't be the end of the world if you die, or get knocked out, or get sent back to the city. The repercussions and ramifications of defeat in this game are not super punishing, but you want to avoid, you know, dying as much as possible, getting knocked out. If you guys accidentally get beaten up a bunch in the beginning, that's totally okay. But if you guys, once you guys are getting a bit more established and you are starting to find your feet a little bit better, try and avoid death. And if you think that means that walking away from a fight here and there is a good idea, then do it, you know? It's probably better to take a more controlled and relaxed pace than to just fight everything and die 1,000 times. Because that doesn't really feel good as a player, and it will have a little bit of a negative consequence on your Digimon. Every time you run away from a fight or every time you are defeated, your Digimon will lose a little bit of Digibond between each other. And that's going to be more important when you guys are Ultimate and Mega, but for the time being, you also want to try and keep those bonds high when you're a rookie or a champion. It's just not necessarily better, but it's probably the most logical choice to do. I'm going to be heading back to the city in just a second, but first I'm going to get 1 or 2 more fights in. I could have skipped over this, right? And this is something that maybe you guys will say in the comments or feedback. You can let me know what you think, but obviously some of these fights, a lot of it could have been skipped over, but I really truly wanted to give you guys an unabridged version of how this game goes, because sometimes when I am watching a Let's Play, and I know you guys might not feel this way, everybody's different after all, but I'm trying to accommodate for as many people as I can. When I watch a Let's Play, sometimes if somebody's teaching you how to do something and they do a transition where they skip some time in game, it's hard to know if the person is actually like doing what they're saying off screen. Sometimes, I don't mean to sound like a conspiracy theorist, but obviously the person could fail and then load up the game. They could save their game before the boss and then fight the boss and then load it up if it goes poorly, and then make it seem like through the power of editing that they're doing everything miraculously. For this type of tutorial, for this type of guide, I guess if you want to call it that, this whole commentary that I'm doing right now, I wanted you guys to see, you know, without skipping anything or without fading through anything, that everything I'm doing was in one sitting, one play session. There was no saved games, there was no failed battles where I loaded it up and kept it a secret from you. It's all completely raw footage, right? And I know that's kind of, it might be a little bit tedious for some of you guys, and maybe a little bit boring, but you guys can let me know. And the beautiful thing about watching on YouTube is, if I am talking about a point that you're not interested in, or there's a part of the video that you're not wanting to watch, you guys can just skip ahead. You can watch on ×2 speed, you can go away and have a break and come back and watch the rest of the video later, or do whatever you want, right? So that is us for this part. We're going to go back to Digimon's house. We got a tamer level up, and I think I actually do spend my tamer points this time, maybe? I didn't spend them the last time, so let's have a look and see. We've got 6 points available. What I'm immediately going to do is bang them straight into learn from experience. Am I just going to do that? Yep, okay. Respect. So there's a ton of tamer points that you could go for, and that's what I'm looking at here. You could choose to extend the life of your Digimon if you would like to. HP Health Runner in the bottom left is also one of my favourites. That gives you HP as you run around the map. Very, very good eventually. or because we know we're going to go into champion soon, these options here for extra points when Digivolving are also good. Thank you, Past Jack, for showcasing that. I guess I knew that I was going to be talking about it a little bit. If you guys need to pause and read what these items do, these upgrades do, then you can obviously go back and do that. But for the most part, there's a ton of tamer points and skills you guys can choose in the beginning. I have opted here to go for the ones that give me more stats when I train against enemies, because I know that I'm going to be doing a lot of fighting. And in order to min-max that, I want to get as many points as possible. It also goes hand in hand with my defend perk, right? Which is a perk that you will only gain benefit from when you're taking part in the battles. So if I'm going to be doing a lot of battles and defending, I want to be getting max juice. And that's exactly what I go for here. So that's kind of cool. But again, you guys can do whatever you want. If you guys want to see a bit more information and in-depth discussion about my tamer skills and which ones I go for, which ones I choose, which ones I prioritize, then definitely go and check out my other first guide that I've made very recently. There's a whole segment dedicated to how to gain tamer points and how to earn them and how to speed grind them. And then there's a section right after it which shows you guys my favourite tamer points to take. So you can go and have a look at that if you fancy. I know my Digimon are getting kind of tired here, and I know they're about to go to sleep, so I'm thinking, do I want to train on the wheel and just force another training session, or do I just rest them? I think I'm just going to rest them here. If your Digimon are tired, guys, if you're training them either in the world or on the training wheel, you'll notice that sometimes they get the little sweat drop mark above their head. As discussed earlier, that means they're tired, and you guys know at this point that you can either go to sleep, if that's an option, or you can speak to Digimon, the little red guy behind me, as we said earlier. But the point is, if you leave that symbol up for too long, guys, and I please don't quote me on this, I've read online that in this game, it will constantly reduce the life duration of your Digimon, so bear that in mind. If you feel like, if you want to go and research that yourself and confirm it, you can do. But I believe that when you have a sweat, the tired symbol above your head, if you leave that up for many hours, your Digimon will lose a little bit of their life, which is obviously not something that you want to encourage, right? You want to keep your Digimon alive as long as possible. There's a topic regarding that I really want to go over in just a second, so I'll try and remember to come back to this in a second. In terms of like how long your Digimon live, I see a lot of comments telling me that they feel like their Digimon die way too fast in this game, and that is a whole discussion that I can have with you guys in just a second. But for the time being, we've got our first two champions here, Yokomon and Seedramon. They both wake up and Digivolve together, which hopefully will be the case for you guys as well. There's no reason for that not to happen at the beginning of the game. Picking up my meat, and you guessed it, I'm picking up Garurumon items as well, and I'm just going to do the exact same thing as I've done the last few days. I'm going to go over to the Patamon maybe and deposit anything I need to deposit. If there's nothing I've got to deposit in this case, I'm just going to sell all the excess. I'm keeping 4 porta potties, porta potties, porta toilets. I'm keeping 3 autopilots. I'm selling any excess food, and then all this other garbage at the bottom I'm getting rid of. If you guys want to stash some of these items because you're unsure of what they do, or you maybe want to keep some safe, you can do. In this case, I am just selling all this stuff because I have no need for it, apart from the baby strawberry. The reason I'm keeping that is because it's a really good item for boosting weight. And if I need to boost weight later on for a Digivolution requirement, I'm thinking that's the easiest way to do it. So now that I've sold everything, I can see my money in clear, in clear vision, and I decide to buy. I don't need to buy a lot because I've got a lot of stuff saved up from yesterday, because we now can block for a lot of damage. We don't have to actually waste as many recoveries, and all these battles in the early areas have suddenly become complete and utter irrelevant chump change for us, right? I mean that in the nicest way. But none of the enemies can threaten us now. And we have champions, which means we're a little bit stronger. I showed off some of the stats there, but for the most part, our Digimon haven't gained that many stats. They're still kind of scrawny. And they only have the beginner moves as well, which is another thing to point out. My Digimon might be champion, but if they're only doing the same type of moves as my rookies were doing, then you'll realise that, we haven't actually gained that much power. They're better, but they're not that much stronger. They will only be stronger later on when I start to give them good, powerful moves that will actually make up for a huge amount of the damage. Here's the Goblinmon level 5. I really am, I'm kind of sorry, guys, and I feel like I should apologise a little bit. I wanted to fight this guy with my rookies to show you guys how easy it is to beat this guy. But there's a couple of important things to notice about this guy. This dude, and the reason why he will threaten you a lot as a new player, is he does the spin attack. Watch carefully. So when this guy bends down and it looks like he's going to touch his toes, you can see I'm watching for it here. He might not do it, we'll see. My Digimon are doing a lot of damage. It looks like we immediately get our limit break on. I think I'm waiting to see if he'll use it. He's actually blocking there, so you can see the enemies sometimes block too. That right there is his spin attack. If you get clipped by that, that will fucking blow your head off, okay? If you defend that move though, you're good to go. Now it's really, really hard to see sometimes in next order what the enemy is doing. It's hard because of the camera. It's hard because of your Digimon being in the way. Sometimes there's just a messy fight going on. There can be sometimes up to like 4 or 5 enemies or 4 or 5 characters that you have to keep track of. You have to keep track of your Digimon, their health bars, their MP. You have to look at the enemies and see what they're doing. It can be quite chaotic. And as a new player, you might be like, dude, how the fuck am I supposed to play this game, Jack? It takes time and it takes practice, but all I know is that these Goblimon here have a spin attack. I can't remember the name of it, but you can learn it as a move for your Digimon too. So every time they use it, there's a chance that you inherit it, so that's kind of cool. But for the time being, every single time I see that Goblimon raise his club in the air, I am immediately defending the closest Digimon. And sometimes, if I think that he's in range, I will also defend on the other Digimon. Because when he spins, he is going to do a colossal amount of damage to you. And in order to keep your Digimon healthy, you want to make sure you're blocking that. The defend perk at level 1 will not block all of the damage, but it actually prevents like 90%. It's actually one of the most broken perks in the entire game. And now that we're fighting against some of the big boys, we need to be aware that they will have big boy moves, and that is something that we don't want to, catch in the jaw, because that's the stuff that's ultimately going to kill us. Like I said earlier, it's not about the stats that the Digimon have, it's the fact that sometimes you will fight an enemy, and they will have a move that is just way beyond your current capabilities, and if you don't respect it, it's going to blow your head off. Let's see if we can watch it again with this guy. So, this is a level 8 Goblimon, and he's way stronger than the other guy. As soon as I see him, kind of bend down to touch his toes and put the fucking club in the air, I know he's going to go for it. There, boom. I'm immediately double defending. I'm respecting this fully. He spins and he still does a lot of damage to us, but we block both of it, and we're both blocking it because our Digimon are kind of hunkering down and they're not attacking. If you immediately block, a lot of the time your Digimon doesn't even have to be in the block animation, guys. As soon as you click the block button, the block comes through. And although you can miss the window sometimes if you're too slow, like here, you'll notice that sometimes you can actually get away with the very last second you can put a block. So if you can see an enemy doing something weird, if an enemy runs up to you and then they stop, it probably means they're doing a wind-up of some kind. And a wind-up normally means that a big damage move is coming. So this guy here we're going to finish off, and I'm going to show you another example of what I mean by a big wind-up in a second. Because I think we're about to walk across the grass and fight against these Gabumon Black that are in this area. Another good enemy for you guys to train against in the beginning if you would like to. You can see here we're getting plus 24 strength from these guys, which is nothing to be sneered at all. Okay, Gabumon Black, my old mate. If you guys have ever fought this guy, he will immediately kill you sometimes, and you won't even know why. This guy has a move called Nightmare, and it is literally that. It is a huge, powerful, high damage move, and it is fucking traumatic when it hits you. So here I'm looking. That right there is not Nightmare, but I noticed that my Siege one is a little bit unhealthy. When this Gabumon bends down, just like the Goblimon, and a black cloud appears in the sky, it means that Nightmare is coming. That is Nightmare. You always want to defend that, guys. If that had hit my Siegemon, it would have one-shot him. It would have one-popped him. Completely and utterly blasted his balls off. I don't even know if Sigemon has balls, but he certainly wouldn't have had if that had connected. Now again, I know that. I know this Gabumon is dangerous. I know that he has that move because I've played the game a lot. You guys are going to learn over time that every single one of these Digimon in the early phases has a powerful move, and it can be very scary. That one in particular is very, very powerful. Now again, we had an opportunity to learn Nightmare, but we weren't able to grab it, which kind of sucks, but that's okay. We'll have time, we can fight these guys as many times as we want. You can see I'm moving over here to fight against Coagamon, and again, my block command is going to come in essential to this fight as well, because Coagamon actually has some horrible moves as well. And when I say horrible, I mean badass, but when he's using it on you, it can be really horrible in there. Like, bearing in mind that our Digimon at this point, I think they only have like 1200 HP, maybe 1500 HP or something. I actually can't remember. We'll be able to see in a minute after the fight is done here, but I'm just making sure that I time my order points, and because I've had my Digimon for a while, we've had minimal fights. You can see there, boom. Goblimon actually did his spin attack, but because we went into our limit break and we pushed it first, we take 0 damage from the spin. We actually have 1800, so excuse me, we have 1800 HP, so we have way more than I thought, but if you get hit by some of these big moves, it can just one-shot you. And the hitboxes in Next Order, just as a separate topic, are merciless, okay? And when I say hitbox, I mean when a Digimon spins on the spot and does an attack, sometimes your Digimon can be fucking miles away from them, and the attack will still connect. Sometimes when Goblimon does his spin attack, your other Digimon can come running in, even though he's finished the spin, and it looks like he's done, but your Digimon can run into it, and that sucks. Here, I know that Koagumon is doing something. You see that, guys? If you blink, you'll miss it, but as soon as this Koagumon looks like he's doing anything, I am immediately hitting L1. I'm freezing the fight, and I'm defending. Look, boom. Straight into defense. See that boulder, right? That's a very, very powerful fire-type move. Kind of bizarre that Koagumon has fire-type moves in his arsenal, but here, hey-ho. He's going to do it again, watch. As soon as he does that, I can see the boulder coming in. I left it a little bit late that time. I don't even know if my defend came through. But that is a very, very powerful move, and if that hits you, you're going to feel sad. Now that he's used that attack 3 times, though, you'll notice, just like you, that the enemy Digimon actually have MP. And now because he's run out of juice, he actually can't cast the powerful move anymore. And this is something that we're going to discuss later on when I show you guys my my Chapter 1 boss guide. How to beat the Chapter 1 boss. And this is something you guys can get as a kind of preview for that fight before that video comes out. But when you're fighting some of these bosses in the world, guys, a lot of the time the moves that they use on you are very powerful. But if they use the powerful moves over and over, if you can learn to block those, the boss will eventually run out of mana. They will run out of MP, and they won't be able to do the move on you anymore. And at that point, the fight becomes an absolute doddle, because they can't hurt you anymore. And sometimes you need enough recovery to sustain through a fight long enough to get to that point. You're going to have to block very, very well and efficiently, and that can be very hard in Next Order, because sometimes the enemies have a very clearly distinctive telegraphed move, and then sometimes they don't. I was fighting against a certain Digimon in the Logic Volcano, a certain dog Digimon that wears a red kind of handkerchief around his neck. You guys know who it is, I know who it is, but I'm not going to spoil it. I was fighting this Digimon in the Logic Volcano today, and he's got this move that when he bows his head very slightly for a second, he calls down a bolt of lightning from the sky. It's a holy type move, and it is extremely powerful. It is so hard to see that coming, even for an experienced player like me, and it's also AoE. So if you actually don't see him doing that, maybe you think he's going to do something else and you don't defend, if that hits one of your Digimon and your other Digimon comes sprinting across the screen, you can actually run into the side of the attack and they can both get instantly wiped. And that was exactly what happened to me today. So the summary of all of this waffle is that you will learn to block sometimes in Next Order. You'll learn to recognize the moves of some enemies, but then sometimes you won't, and it's all about practice. It's all about, you know, sometimes the game can throw a bullshit move at you out of nowhere. It completely blows your head off, and you're just like, what the heck was I supposed to do there? It's often the case that the Digimon you're fighting isn't as powerful as you think he is. They're often way squishier than you think. It's just that they caught you with their most powerful move. You didn't see it coming. It hit both your Digimon. You took 1500 damage, and it one-shot you. It's not as scary as you think. It can just seem that way. So we're in the server desert here. We're wrapping up things soon, and we're coming to the end of our video, so you guys will be able to escape from me just soon enough. But obviously, as I come into a new area, I want to do the same thing. I want to do the same thing I always do. I want to test my Digimon, see how I hold up. If there's an enemy who's red, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're unbeatable, as you can see with Gotsumon here. We fight against Gotsumon, he gives us terrible stats, terrible money, and the bandage that we get from him isn't that exciting either. But I still wanted to fight him just to see. You know, I'm dipping my toe in the pond of Gotsumon and I'm saying, hey, are you actually worth my time, Gotsumon? As it turns out, he's not, but we still get some rewards for our time. And again, the time taken in between the fight is 0, so there's really no harm in trying. We also get a little stat boost, a little praise boost after the fight is done as well, which is cool. Same thing here. I'm into the Hallowed Hall, and I do actually have a goal in mind here. I'm actually heading for Garurumon. At the same time, I'm testing myself. This Gotsumon's level 7. He's marked as red. The game's telling me caution. Is this guy terrifying? No. He's tanky. You know, we do very little damage with that move. You can see that he's taking negative damage. Does that mean that he's unbeatable? No. As soon as I hit this guy with my double limit break, you can see there he does a spin and it actually clobbers me for fucking 500 damage. Just as I'm talking about how he's a pushover, obviously shits on me. Thanks, Gotsumon. I'm aiming for my limit breaks, right? I'm making sure that if this is the spin, I'm double defending. I know it's probably going to hit both my Digimon, so I'm defending and then I'm immediately healing. Keeping an eye on my MP levels here as well, making sure that doesn't go down. if I can time this correctly, I might get my double limit break, which I do. And suddenly this guy, who has been taking negative damage from my regular moves, is going to get one-shot. So, I don't know that for a fact, but even if it doesn't one-shot him, he's going to be low as fuck. And I can, I can push him over the edge with my other regular moves. We get 23 points of stamina and nothing else. Kind of makes sense that the Gotsumon give you tanky stats, I guess, because they are little rock men, so that's kind of cool. But thematical. And I guess something that you can kind of apply to your other observations, you know, sometimes when you fight against, like, electric-type Digimon or wing-type Digimon, they'll often give you speed stats. If you fight against a bug Digimon that's tanky, they'll often give you, like, wisdom or stamina or something like that. It really does depend, but it's something you can kind of identify from time to time. But I'm trying to get to Garurumon because the Garurumon fight here is going to seem very, very scary to a lot of new players. But this guy is going to give you a ton of stats, and again, just to kind of tie everything together neatly here in one little example of a fight, this Garurumon is going to be very, very scary. But if you know what to do, if you have the items and you have the block command, this guy is a chump, and he's going to give you a ton of XP. You guys will have seen this guy in my training spots video if you've watched that. He's level 7 and he's a champion, right? Now this guy, when he spins on you, is terrifying, but if you block the spin, I'm thinking that he might be doing it here. Turns out he is. I managed to block it in time. We take negative damage, right? We take a little bit of damage, but not too much that we can't handle. And while I'm defending here, my other Yukumon, my purple fox, is attacking. I'm making sure my order commands come through. I'm defending. Unfortunately, as you can see here, the spin actually hits Yokomon in the back. That's what I was talking about the hitboxes. They can be kind of absurd sometimes. I let him attack me and get the order command perfectly, which is really nice. That's hard to pull off sometimes, but you guys can definitely practice that if you want. I would always recommend going for attack order commands rather than defense, because it's easier to land. Now, I don't think this double limit break is going to kill this Garurumon. I could be wrong, but I don't think so. But what it will do is send him flying through the sky and break any defensive stats that he has. So if you break an enemy, it will often allow you to do more damage for a second. Look at him, he's just fucking cruising. He thinks he's a spaceship, man. Garurumon, you're playing, bro. Now we do a lot of damage. I'm trying to finish him off here, but this is honestly optimistic. You should never really do this. I do hit him with a couple of these moves. I know he's going to come in for an attack, so I just make sure that my Digimon is defending. Yokomon is attacking, and honestly, this is the way you should be controlled when playing these fights. Defend if you have to, you know? Just defend if you have to. There's the spin attack coming through. A lot of players might not have seen that coming. I certainly wasn't sure. So I thought rather than risk it, I'll just double defend. And now I'm trying to finish him off with my regular moves. This fight gets a little bit messy actually now that I remember it. What you should be doing here, and this is something I would have, I've been learning over the last few days myself, is that you don't always want to just burn your, your limit breaks are the most damage you can literally throw at the enemies. So sometimes it's better to just be patient. Even when it's HPs like this, you might think, Jack, just burn your moves. Just burn your MP and do damage and kill him. Sometimes it's better to actually just defend through, get your limit breaks. The PC and Switch port of this game gives you order points way more generously than the PlayStation 4 version does. And I don't know if that's going to get patched at some point, but for the time being, if you guys are playing on PS4, just know that you have a little bit of a disadvantage. The PC and the Switch ports, you guys have a way easier time of getting order points from your timing window from supporting like this, okay? The PS4 guys have got an old school difficulty, which is weird. I don't know why they've changed that. I guess they wanted to make it easier for you guys. But I'm certainly enjoying that, because this footage here is on PC. And getting order points is a lot easier. Now check out these stats, guys. Look at that. So that's from one fight, okay? And although we had to burn some recoveries, and although we had to be a bit diligent with our attacks and our timings, ultimately everything went pretty well. And if we are able to fight that Garurumon, let's say 4 times, we are going to gain 100 stats in all of our main attributes: strength, stamina, speed, wisdom. And then we're going to gain a chunk of HP and MP at the same time as well. So at this point, this is us wrapping up, guys. I'm thinking about whether I want to do more stuff, but I'm also conscious of the video taking way too long. So I'm actually going to autopilot back to the town here, I think, eventually. And I am going to call it quits. But hopefully you guys found a little bit of value in finding out how I train, at least to champion. I do have another part of this recording lined up, which is the next part of the game. So if you guys are maybe interested in seeing that, I could do another one of these, but only if people want to see it. They take a lot of time to put together, and although the recordings are already complete, I don't know if you guys actually want to see that over and over again. So thank you so much for watching. If you guys enjoyed this, leave me a comment, leave me a like, tell me what you thought. And hopefully this gives you a little bit of an understanding of how to play the early stages of Next Order step by step. I know a lot of you guys probably want to see how to get from Champion to Ultimate. So again, if you are wanting to see the next part of this video, then please let me know, folks. And it'll give me an idea of whether I should spend time and put focus into that. But yeah. Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching. Any comments that you guys have, any things I haven't covered, make sure to ask them down in the comments below, and I'll get back to you. Any other topics, I'll save for next time. Peace out, guys. Thanks for watching.